Welcome back to the Total Focus Podcast. I'm your host, Paul. Our sponsor of the week is Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Production. No matter if you're in seek of video or photography, they are the team to get the job done. If you need wedding photography, professional headshots, if you just need photos, they are the team to get the job done. If you need a commercial, if you need a wedding videographer, or you just need to shoot some B-roll, they are the videographers to get the job done. So make sure you reach out to Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Productions for your next video and photography project. Our special guest this week is the current reigning Ms. Bella Latino International 2020. Beatriz Florez is on the show. I am so excited to have her. She's going to tell us all about her experiences competing at nationals and going there for the first time, getting second runner-up, and then going back and winning, and all of the pitfalls and opportunities that she's learned and all of the skills. And we really break down what brought her to it and why the Latino pageant is such a great advocate and also has so many perks for herself and her community. And I hope you guys enjoy this and stay tuned. And welcome to the show.
Hi,
Hi, B. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Paul?
It's great. It's always good to have more sister queens. I was so excited to interview your other sister queen, and now it's like finishing the sisterhood. And I got to get your other queen, and then we'll have all three of you guys on the show.
Yeah, I spoke to Jessica after her interview, and she said she had a great time.
Jessica's such a nice person. She's being
She
so
is.
nice to all you guys are being so nice to to really give me a little bit of your time. I really do appreciate it.
No, I
Are
appreciate.
you personally excited that you have another year? Are you shocked? Overwhelmed?
I am very excited, of course. It just gives me more of an opportunity to continue to give back to the community and represent the system. So, yeah, when our director Maria let us know, I was definitely elated.
It's not usual, so to get an extra year with such a great title and such a big responsibility, is there anything that right off the bat that you were like, I'm gonna definitely focus on that and definitely try to grow that more?
Well, I'm really hoping that, the quarantine time and this pandemic does resolve quicker so we can get out in the community. But my platform has always been breaking the stigma surrounding mental health. And I especially focus on the Latino population. Um, teen Latinas between the age of 14 and 20 are more likely to commit suicide than any other ethnic group. So I definitely want to target that population and ensure that they know how to get help and they understand how to recognize when they may be experiencing symptoms of mental illness. So that's definitely my focus is targeting that population to ensure that I'm doing what I can to help reduce those suicide rates.
That's such a good platform to have because that's a critical, I guess I should say, disease or impact
Yeah, yeah.
that occurs in every population, especially um, in ethnically diverse populations that may not get the health care that um, um, other countries may get or other populations. So that's a great
Yeah.
that's a great
Abs-
thing that you're doing to really reach out and make sure that they get more help.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. People don't realize the prevalence of mental illness throughout the population. It's like one in four adults suffer with a mental illness and one in five children. So it's more prevalent than some of the health conditions that we hear a lot about. But people don't like talking about mental illness and mental health. So I like to have those conversations and and help break that stigma. So
Yeah, people get very squirmy, as I say. They get
yeah,
they it's very awkward. They feel awkward, but it's a really important conversation because they health and mental health play a major role. If you're not physically able, you're not mentally able. How are you able to have a job and provide and work and just live? So it's a very important
yeah.
thing. So um, well, before you were doing all these great things, B, how did let's roll it back and let's start on your actual path. So, what are some key things and where did you start? Were you a young little girl doing sports? Were you singing? Were you doing pageants when you were younger? What was your first path towards where you are today?
Well, growing up, I was always involved in everything in school. In junior high, I was in all the sports. In high school, I was in a lot of things. I was in orchestra, ROTC. In ROTC, I was in some special teams like the color guard and the arm drill team. And I was on the dance team. So I was always very competitive and I loved like group activities. But I didn't really get into pageantry until I was an adult. I did try a couple of pageants when I was a teenager, but I had no idea what I was doing. I had no platform, I had no coach. So, needless to say, I did not do well. But it wasn't until I was around 30 years old when one of my friends was competing for this pageant, the Bella Latina pageant, and she won the title. And she reached out to me and she said, "You should really try to compete for this pageant. I think you would really enjoy it. I think you're someone that people can look up to and be a role model for." And she knew how involved I was in with the community already, and she just said, "This is just another opportunity for you to reach people at a grander scale because you'll have that title, which will help open doors up for you." So that was all I needed to hear to help convince me to pursue, the world of pageantry. And I think it really was the best time for me to do it because I was 30 years old. I already had a career. I knew who I was. I know what I like, what I didn't like. I built the confidence as a woman. So I felt ready to take on this challenge. And now I'm addicted. So it's a problem.
What's so defining about this particular pageant that draws you into it? Uh, let me ask another way. So previous to this, you had not competed, but are you watching pageants? Are you aware of USA and America because they're on television, or is that not even in your peripheral?
I would watch them on occasion, but it wasn't something that I would look forward to or ensure that it was penciled in on my schedule or anything like that. Um, but now that when I did start competing when I was 30, that's when yes, I am watching, Miss Universe, Miss USA, Miss America pageants, and I try to support other pageant systems as well because I love watching girls shine, and men. I've seen some pageants that have men in it, have them shine on stage and have fun. So I definitely support the industry.
So pageants were in your peripheral. You personally had not competed in it. So
Right.
is it because it was about community and that's what drew you to this particular pageant? Is that why this pageant?
Well, Maria Torres, the CEO of this pageant, created this pageant because um, a, she understood that a lot of Latinas became mothers or got married at a young age. So they were not allowed to compete in other pageant systems that, you needed to be single and you couldn't be a mother. So she really wanted to create a great pageant system that would uh, support Latinas and encourage this for everyone to be able to compete. So it's something that I admired that she did, and I think it's just a great way to celebrate heritage and background. I grew up in McAllen, Texas, and that area is primarily Latino population. So I'm very tied into the Mexican culture, because I lived in a border town, and so I just wanted to represent that culture, and that's really what drove me to that pageant.
So basically, it really checked off all of the items on your list. It was
Yes.
it was community based. It represented yourself. It still allowed you to be qualified because based on your own other pageants would exclude you. Um, and I mean, as we all know, it's really beautiful crown and sash. So, it has that
Yeah,
that you gotta go for it too, right? And then from what
exactly.
I haven't had the opportunity to speak to the director, but I keep on hearing so many great things about the director. So the director sounds like an awesome person too. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, is there any really negatives? Is it just that that it's well known in your community, or is it, or there isn't any drawbacks?
To me, there isn't any drawbacks, and it has a sister pageant system, which is the Galaxy system. And I know you're familiar with Crystal Gale, who you've also
Mm-hmm.
interviewed. And so the pageants happen on the same week, and we really get to know the girls from the other pageant system as well, which is great. Um, so it is a well-known pageant because of its relationship with the Galaxy pageant, which is really in, at the international scale.
Now, with your title, um, do they also give you entry the following year into Galaxy, or is that just for the MS Miss the Miss?
Yeah,
Or
we all.
I always get messed up. Or they're all three of you guys are qualified, because I don't know exactly how the rules are, because I had the opportunity once to work with one of your sister queens like 5 years ago, and she was telling me about this cool rule that you get to compete, but I wasn't sure if it was all three of you or was it just for one of you.
It is for all three of us. Maria does give us the opportunity
That's awesome.
to compete in the Galaxy system as Miss Latina Galaxy, whether that's Miss Teen or Ms. or Ms.
That's such a
It's
great.
hard to dis-
That's such
it's
a
hard to
great.
distinguish Ms. and Ms.
No, 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 I know. But it's just a great. That's a just I like the Latino title, but the Miss Galaxy one sounds so cool too. So it's like you get this.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
are you excited? Are you excited for that? I mean, are you kind of bummed that you have another year to wait to compete for Galaxy, or it's gonna get there when it gets there?
It actually works out really well for me, only because I'm in the Army Reserve,
Oh,
and my unit is deploying at the end of this year,
well, God
in the
bless you.
beginning of next
Please
year.
stay safe.
thank
Okay.
thank you. So I actually won't be able to be there in whenever next year during the pageant to give up my title because I will be in country. So, but that but it also gives me that whole year to prepare for the next year for Galaxy. If so, it works out for me.
Hey, you gotta take every advantage you got. So, girl, work it,
Yeah.
okay? Work it, okay? Um, so how many years did you compete until you won your first? This is your only title, right?
Well, I competed. So my first pageant was Texas Belleza Latina.
Okay, the
So
you won the
before,
local. Okay, right.
yeah, I won local when I was 30. And that was my first pageant, and I won it. And I went to nationals that year, and I got first runner up.
That's cool.
And
First time.
yeah,
That's pretty
yeah,
for Ed Nationals. That's pretty good. Did you
yeah,
did you
yeah.
feel like you had really achieved something there? You were on the right path.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to lie, there was some disappointment with it, but they chose a great person. And it just gave me that fire to want to come back. And it did take me a couple years to come back, but I finally did, and I won. So I think that things just happen in their time, and it wasn't my time back then, but it was this time. So
Well,
I'm
I
happy.
think you have to learn. how to fall before you can walk, in baby, as they do in baby terms. So not everyone is a savant and just is naturally gifted. So most people do have to fall to learn. So um,
Yeah, I totally agree.
going into that first national competition, or do you have a pageant coach? What's your training and thought pattern there? I mean, are you just watching YouTube videos? Like, what prepares you to get second runner up?
So I didn't have a pageant coach, and maybe I should have. I think what helped me prepare was just really talking to friends that have gone through the process and just asking them for mentorship, not really coaching. And they would really give me feedback on what I need to to work on. I think something that helped me, at least with stage presence, is that I had that background in dance, and I was, at the time when I competed, I was in a salsa dance team, and it was a team that we would go out and perform on stage. So I've always been comfortable on stage. Um, I think the hardest part of pageantry was the interview. So for that, what I would prepare for, or to for that part of the pageant, is just really doing research on my platform, really understanding myself, and answering the question, why am I doing this? What do I want to accomplish? And I think getting down to those questions really helped me feel confident during the interview.
Well, going back to your younger years, you said you did military corps. Is that right? In dancing, is that correct? Did, did I
Yep,
hear?
yep. I was in JROTC, Junior Reserve Officer Training
Okay.
Corps, and I was on the dance team as well in high school.
Now I
Hmm.
grew up in Maryland, and we didn't have that. They like disbanded it. So, um, um, do you think that the skills you learned, that discipline, helped you for your stage, for that portion? Because do you see pageants as like two different competitions? You have that interview, and then you have the on stage competition where you have to act a totally different way and have to be very stoic, and graceful, and like be happy, and like all that kind of things on stage. But then in the interview, you have to like win. You have to be very animated and be winning over the judges.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the skills I learned in the military, in the dance team, were definitely very helpful. I think overall, judges are looking for someone that is confident and poised, and that can come off both on stage and the interview as well.
So, what do you think was the defining factor in that first year that didn't get you over the hump? Did you realize what after how what was the gap between your second time and winning? Was that a year, 2 years?
It was 3 years.
Okay. So in that
Yeah.
3 year time frame, did you like find out in yourself what you think you did wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I the area I needed to work on was definitely interview. When I competed the first time, I had one evening gown, I had one fashion wear. I just didn't win interview or photogenic. So all those points added up, put me in the first runner up position. So I definitely prepared a lot more this time around. Um, I still didn't win interview though, but I did well enough to where my total points still put me over the edge, because I had a very competitive first runner up, Catherine Cortez. She was amazing. So we were neck and neck.
Well, I mean, having a good competitor behind you only makes you a better winner and makes you work harder. So I'm sure without her pushing you, it wouldn't have been as much fun, as well as you wouldn't have been so driven. So I'm sure you have to give her a little credit for pushing you too. So
Oh, absolutely. And we were roommates, and
Oh wow,
we helped.
that's definitely
Yeah, we
competitive.
we helped each other throughout the whole week. It was we were we I would have been happy if she won, and she was very supportive when I won, and we were very supportive of each other throughout the process.
What do you think you've decoded in your interview? Do you think it was the way that you were being animated in your interview, or do you think you needed to um, be more direct and not tell the judges what they need to hear, but just tell them what you feel is the truth? Is What did you find
I
out for
think
yourself?
I think the key is that I needed to ensure that the judges understood what I was going to do with the title, what my focus is going to be, how hard I'm going to work for for the system if I were to win. It wasn't. I think I was just myself and really answered those questions with passion because I really was dedicated to my platform and dedicated to representing the system well. And I think getting that message across in a way that the judges can see that I was serious and committed was really what helped.
Well, B, I was telling your sister Queen that one of the little secrets is that the appearances are the same every year. So, assuming that quarantine ends and you can do things outside, is there anything that you're excited to do for the second time as the queen um and to promote and to go to?
Yeah, something I've been wanting to do is because I'm originally from Texas, but moved to the state of Washington. When I was in the state of Texas, I worked with this organization called One in Five Minds, which is a mental health organization for children. And I would lead discussion groups in their monthly awareness meetings with families that would attend these communities meetings. And I really am looking forward to being able to travel and going back and reconnecting with that organization, and seeing how I can take their model to back to Washington State, because I really do think it was an excellent model that they were having, and they were really reaching families and children. So I'm looking forward to that, being able to travel and connecting with organizations for sure.
Have you been able to talk to your local assembly or your local senator or governor?
No, I have not been able to speak to any local representatives
Is
yet.
it is that on your agenda? Is that something you want to achieve now that you have a little bit more time?
Yeah, it would be something that I would want to achieve. I think something that helps is that I work in suicide prevention at the VA hospital in Seattle. So that puts my platform is very related to that. So having that profession and having this title, I think will help open doors to be able to speak to those representatives. But one organization I definitely want to get in connection with in the Seattle area is the Latino Chamber of Commerce, only because it's a Latino led organization and they're really focused on supporting Latino businesses and Latinos in general in the area. So that's definitely an organization I hope to build a relationship with.
I would definitely encourage you to do that. I know
Mm-hmm.
that in the Maryland area, our local chapter is very affluent and doing very well. So I would definitely encourage you to do that. You would probably be their standout. So, um, you should try and get as many. I don't know if you're tight with the local girls too. You should have like the local girls come out too.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I just wanted to take 1 second from this great interview and talk about our sponsor of the week, Mid Atlantic Video and Photography Productions. No matter if you're planning a wedding, a special event, or you just need an amazing headshot, they are the team to get the job done. You can reach out to them at 443 422 3830. Again, that's 443 422 3830. Or you can just go right to their website at mavpp.com. Now let's get right back to the show and listen to this great interview. Well, I think that's a great goal to have, and I really hope that you achieve that. I mean that. I mean, uh, um, most most title holders don't get full years sometimes, depending on how the pageant's set. So, getting almost 2 full years, um, I'm really hoping that you're able to achieve a lot, even though you're going to be deployed for a little bit of the time. Were
Yeah.
you expecting to be deployed, or did that just come up recently, with all the events going on in the world?
I was aware of it at the beginning of this year,
Gotcha.
around January.
Are you excited to be deployed, or is this like I personally do not have family in the military, so how are you preparing that as being a title holder and and then still getting ready?
I definitely think it's going to get a little tougher once training starts ramping up, but it's all about time management, and I just need to. I know that both things are important to me, and I'm going to put the time and effort to be able to do both. I am excited to deploy. I deployed before back in 2009, and that's been 11 years. And that's the reason why I joined the military is to defend our country. So it's something that I've been wanting to do again. So I'm getting this opportunity, and it's a good mission, and um, I am looking forward to it.
Well, I mean, I truly appreciate you defending our country and fighting the fight for us, and I appreciate you doing that. There are so many people that are incapable of doing it, but they want to do it, and we appreciate you working so hard, putting your life on hold as well as at jeopardy to do that. So we really do. I thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much.
Um, what role you said you work at a hospital you said in Seattle, did I hear right?
Yes.
So is that what your role is with the military? Are you working in the what's the right word? Is
No,
the
I'm actually I do something completely
Oh,
different
you
in the
do?
military.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a logistics officer in the
Okay.
military.
Well, that's
So
fun.
I handle all things sustainment like transportation, ammunition, fuel, water, rations, just getting anything that the warfighter needs in order to be able to sustain themselves in the fight.
That sounds like really awesome. Does that mean that you get to like drive those big movable trucks with the dozers and all that kind of stuff and move supplies back and forth and inventory and all? Is that the stuff you're doing?
Well, I personally don't do that.
Okay.
Uh, I'm a major in the military.
Oh,
I'm an
that
officer.
those are those are for the little drone people. Okay, gotcha.
No. It's just my role is
No,
differently
no,
different. I'm
no. Go
I'm more
ahead.
at
Go ahead.
the planning level of the operation, the planning and overseeing.
Gotcha.
That's what I do.
Well, it sounds like it's still interesting.
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's like putting a puzzle together sometimes. It has its challenges, and I really do enjoy, doing something completely different from my normal day to day job.
Well, yeah, because on your normal job, you're helping people to stay safe as well as that get hurt, and then you're on the other side where you're giving all the supplies to make sure that they are equipped. So you're totally doing like totally different jobs,
Yeah,
but they also play the same major role because doctors need the supplies, and without supplies, yeah. So like that,
yeah.
yeah. No, it's Did you, when you were growing up, did you think that you'd be in logistics, or is that just happens to be where they asked you or plugged you in, and you proceeded to go that?
Well, because I went through ROTC in college, and that's how I got my commission as an officer. And at the end of your senior year, they rank you, and based on how they rank you, select the branches you would like to get into, and and they decide which one you get. And so, but sustainment or logistics was my first choice. It was interesting to me, so I
Well,
got my first choice.
I mean, I think it's a great. I mean, it's it's put you at jeopardy, but also is not on the front line. So, and
Yeah.
it's still a very. It's. I mean, it's basically everything it comes to being on the construction side, um, minus um, you're physically building because it's basically you're building you're putting all together the building supplies, but your building supplies are like you were saying, like bullets and
Hmm.
tents and all that kind of stuff. So it
Yeah.
sounds like it. So do you feel like it's like so your I assume your deployment is like a year or 2 years? Is that a nice like difference that like you get to take a couple years of doing something different? Do you need that? Is that something that you feel refreshing that you're not doing the same menage of doing the same thing over and over?
Yeah, for me, it is helpful to get that kind of mental break and kind of break out of the everyday type um, routine. I get that opportunity throughout the year as well because we have trainings that we have to attend for the reserve as well. And when I get back to my normal job, I feel refreshed and ready to go. And so I think it is good that I get those kind of mental breaks. But this deployment will be 9 months total. I'll be in country 9 months.
Oh, well, so that's not horrible. I mean,
No,
even if they extend you another 6 months, that's still less than 2 years. So I mean that's I mean it could be extremely worse.
yeah, deployments used to be a lot longer. So I am happy that it's only 9 months long.
So are you one of those pageant contestants that you're always pitching? Are you like when you're like in training or going back for some rehab? Are you looking for some new recruits for the actual team, or are you a little bit more coy and you're a little bit laid back?
I'm definitely more coy. A lot of people most people in the military, unless they're my Facebook friends or don't know that I compete in pageants or that I
Okay,
have
so
this
you
current title.
really you play it major lay key.
Yeah, yeah. I like to compartmentalize things and not take away the focus of what my job is because it could maybe be distracting. I'm not sure, but I do recruit when I'm out in the community and through social media. I just don't bring that into to my jobs.
Do you usually get a very like interesting uh dichotomy, like when you say that do people ever like can't like coincide that you are also in the military but you're also a pageant queen because they are so dramatically um different, because one is so um you know, you have to eat this time, you're doing this, all another one is like beautiful and like you have to dress up and like you can be so ladylike, like do you sometimes do you have ever have anybody be like, how can those two coincide?
Yes, yeah, I get that. People are surprised all the time, whether it's people in the pageant world that find out I'm in the military, they're like, "What?" Or people in the military that find out I'm in pageantry, they're also equally as surprised. So,
I'm I'm sure that your military ones are the ones that give you the most grief, I would assume, because I would assume it's more of that macho attitude, like they're kind of blown away. Is it more on that side or is it kind of equal both ways?
yeah, I think it is more on the military side, but it's just that they're so surprised because in the military, I'm very um, reserved and a woman of few words, just trying to get the job done and the mission done. And so when they see that I'm in this role or a pageant title holder, they're very surprised. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know you were, outgoing or so
So,
talkative or."
uh,
So,
so you honestly can turn off your like chatty catty mindset. Is that actually possible? Because I could never do that. Like I would probably be yelled at by my drill instructor. Like I would there's no way that my bed would be perfectly. I just like I mean, maybe eventually I would get it, but like I would definitely be that person that would definitely be the one always talking. So,
well, I'm actually naturally an introvert, and one of the things that
gotcha.
pageantry has helped me with is get out of my shell and talk to people, talk to strangers more, and just be more outgoing. I think that's really helped me
So
develop those
so
skills.
in all sincerity, the military is your comfort food and where you feel the most comfort in.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So if in all sincerity, if things go bad, that's like your base, and then is the pageantry pushing you to your ultimate boundaries that like this is like so far to that left side or right side that you've never expected before?
It's definitely helping me grow. I don't know if it's pushed me to a point where I feel like, oh my gosh, this is too much, but it has helped me grow as an individual and in a positive way.
Now, so you took 3 years off. Did you
Yeah.
did you practice anything in those 3 years that you took the gap off? Like, was there a reason why you took a gap off? Were you just really devastated? I know that a lot of my friends, when they lose, they take it very personal. So were you just go through that thought process for us?
Yeah, sure. So I would go back to the pageant every year and just go and support the women. And I think that, the Texas Belleza Latina pageant was still going on. And I was very supportive of the title winners that would win the MS title. And I wanted to go and support them as they competed. And I always felt weird for me to compete again to compete against them because I want to support them. And I think when they did get rid of the state preliminaries and made it more at large, then I was like, okay, it's time for me to go back then. I think that was my thought process and what kept me from going back immediately.
So it was you just felt that you didn't want to go through that state competition again. Did you feel that you did if you would lose that would be upsetting?
No, no. I'm what I meant was that I didn't want to compete against the the title holders at Texas, the Miss Texas Besa Latinas,
Oh, okay,
because
gotcha.
yeah, I wanted to support them. I wanted it to be their year to compete.
That's
So
fair. I mean,
yeah.
but you put you work really hard too. So I mean, um, sometimes you gotta be a little bit competitive. I mean, you did win. So
Yeah.
so did what was your at large title?
Miss Pacific Coast.
That's a cool title to have.
Yeah, yeah. It was a little challenging to explain sometimes because there'd be like, so the Pacific Coast, do you mean the entire Pacific Coast or the northwest or so I'd be like, oh, whatever you think it is, that's what it is. Okay.
they they do that in America. And in our state, they I wish they in America you're supposed to have represent one person from each county, but then they'll do things like they'll give them like the state flower, and then they'll give them like Miss Southern State, and I'm like, that's not even a that's not the name of like any like it's I'm like, okay, sure. I'm like, you could have given her like the Oriole bird because that's the state bird. I'm like, your title totally fits into where you live and your ethnicity. Like, I'm like,
Hmm.
so I don't know. At least yours makes sense, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it causes people. I think or let me ask, do you think that the best titled names that are at large are ones that causes the person to come up and talk to you about it?
Yeah, I think those are the best ones because it is a conversation starter.
And do you think that that's a ploy that like maybe the director is not that witty or smart, but they're unconsciously doing to promote their business, or maybe they are that smart and they're doing that intentionally to get people to talk about their pageant.
Yeah, I think definitely for Maria, I think she definitely is that smart and strategic in her thinking when she comes up with that large titles for sure.
So, what is your thought? Do you think that you would ever want to be a local director for this pageant? Because are you feeling that this is home? Do you think you're ever going to compete for another system?
I think the only other system I would compete for is Galaxy, and that's a sister system. So,
Fair enough.
I think, yeah, I think that I would consider being a Galaxy um, pageant director for Washington State since there isn't a current director there. I
Oh,
think
well,
that would
that's a
be something
good.
fun.
I mean, that's a good. You don't have to fight someone, so there's already a vacancy that you could fall into.
Yeah, yeah. It's just I know it's a lot of work. I have some friends that are pageant directors, and just speaking to Maria, I know that it takes a lot of dedication. And I don't know if I currently have the ability to do that with the military and everything, but it's definitely something I would consider in the
Well, I mean,
future.
currently you're active and you've got a lot of things going, but
Yeah.
there in the future, I'm getting the feeling that she's already talked to you about it.
She has
You
not,
giggle,
but maybe
you
after
giggle, you giggle. So
she hasn't, but maybe after she hears this podcast, she will.
well, okay, great. Making one difference, one pageant at a time, right?
Right.
Um, so how would you describe the crown? Because I would have to say these two systems have the most unique and large crowns than any other system, because they can't get any bigger and any like over the top and like gorgeous. Um, I know that one of the times that I did have the opportunity to work with one of your sister queens like several years ago, she had told me that the crown had fallen through her. It was so big that the crown, and that I've always heard that that's good luck. So, were you excited for this big crown? Like, when they put it on, was it like overwhelming how heavy it was, or it was? Did it just fit you perfectly? What was that experience like?
My crown when they crowned me, it was definitely tipping over a little bit. It does need to be secured because it can be heavy. And I know, doing some appearances where I wear the crown, it has given me a headache before, but you know, heavy as the head that wears the crown, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make to make. It's such a beautiful crown.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Are you, as a title holder, do you go, when you go to your events, are you always wearing a crown, or are you more of a sash person, or do you do both?
It depends on the event. If it's something that I'm going to be doing something more physical with, I'll just do stash. If it's something I'm just going to be doing a speaking role, then I would like to wear the crown. I'd like to wear the crown as much as possible, but I am finding that a lot of the things that I do are more physical, where wearing a crown is just not practical.
So after coming back, you're gonna be focusing on competing. Um, are you like so excited for the opportunity to win this next major title, because Galaxy's system is even bigger. Just the opportunity to have, it sounds like you're very competitive. I mean, if you're in the military and then you understand the whole thing about teamwork and everything. So does are you excited for that experience and that opportunity? And then I'm sure you're really excited for this crown because I mean I just it sounded like you were really excited for the one you have, but the Galaxy one's even bigger.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely excited about the opportunity to be able to compete in that in the Galaxy pageant in the future. It's definitely a very competitive pageant. There are so many incredible women that come from so many different countries that are very well prepared, and they are beautiful and they are intelligent. So it's something that I cannot take lightly, the decision to compete. I have to be all in and really, really work and train for to compete in it.
I just wanted to take one extra second and talk about our sponsor of the week, Mid Atlantic Video and Photography Production. No matter if you're planning a wedding and you need a wedding videographer, you're doing a music video, or doing a commercial, they are the team to get the job done. You can reach out to them at 443 422 3830. Again, that's 443 422 3830. Or you can go right to their website at mavpp.com. Now let's get right back to this great interview. All right, B. So I always let my guests talk about anything that we didn't address. So is there anything that is there any sponsors that are really important to you? I know that we talked a little bit about your initiative and your goals this year, but is there anything else that it's really important? Because I appreciate your time, and we want to make sure we help anyone that's really important to you as well.
Oh, thank you. Well, I will say that I don't have any current sponsors. I don't work with any sponsors, but I have been encouraged and supported by friends and family. So I definitely want to give a shout out to them to ensure that they know that their love and support is much appreciated. I would also just want to make a quick plug for my current campaign, which is Service Above Self. I'm trying to really encourage people to also participate in service projects in their community for their own mental health. Um, Studies have shown that engaging in service work can really be beneficial for one's own mental health and can be a coping skill for those that are suffering from depression and anxiety. So I want to continue to encourage people to reach out to their community, find out what the needs are, and give back.
Um, what are typical, just in case people don't know exactly what would be typical service projects?
A service project could just be volunteering at your local food bank. Something right now um, that is in need is a lot of these programs that are similar to Meals on Wheels that deliver food to the elderly or to people that are medically incapacitated that cannot be able to go out and get food for themselves. And a lot of those organizations are needing help right now. So that could be something that I would encourage someone to do, is especially in this time right now, is to reach out to those organizations and either help them build those meal packages or actually do the no contact deliveries for them.
Well, that sounds great. I mean, the more that you can help people that are stranded in house or are concerned about getting sick with the coronavirus, it's it's a great thing you can do. So we definitely here at the Total Focus podcast really appreciate you focusing on that. That's a great thing to do.
Thank you.
Are you are you seeing a lot of cases? I mean, are you on a floor that's focusing on corona cases, or are you focused on normal cases, people that just have normal industry that are normally hurt with falls, scrapes?
Well, at the hospital, I work in suicide prevention. So
Gotcha.
I definitely, if a person, we definitely follow up people that are at risk or that are reaching out to us for the help. But we're also following up with people that have tested positive for COVID-19 because that could be a stress factor for them, that could lead them to depression or having a lot of anxiety. So that's we've definitely seen had that opportunity to work with people that have tested positive for COVID-19.
Well, I'm sure there's going to definitely be a high rate of intick with so many unemployed and so many people stressed out about losing their jobs. So I'm sure that your department's going to
Yes.
get even more busier. So
Yep. Yep. You hit on a really good point there. There are a lot of people that have lost their jobs or are just struggling with just the isolation of it. Um, so yeah, I I also unfortunately do feel like there is going to be an uptick in cases.
do
Hmm.
you are you feeling or are you already seeing it? Do you think there's going to be a lot of divorces? I've read a lot of studies. I had thought there was going to be a lot of new um, babies born, pregnancies, but I've actually
Hmm.
been reading a lot that they think there's actually going to be a lot of divorces because there's that too. What are you
Yeah.
seeing, or what are you hearing from people? Or is it on both sides?
Um, I've actually haven't heard much of that, at least with the people that I've worked with so far, which is good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we need never want someone um, to to make that drastic decision in an unnormal. I would hope that if you're going to make that major decision, you want to make it with a level headed in a normal situation. So,
Right. Hmm.
um, how would you sum it up when it comes to what your listeners that are listening to our podcast? What do you think the skills that you've learned during your pageantry years that helped you win is one question. And then the second question, what skills do you think you've learned through pageantry that have allowed you to be a better citizen and a better doctor to your patients?
Well, I think some of the things that some things to work on to be able to be competitive in a pageant is definitely working on that self confidence. If you don't have confidence in yourself, it's going to really portray during the interview and on stage. So building that self confidence is key. And some people do struggle with that. So I encourage people to practice self talk, positive self talk, and ensuring that they practice a daily self talk in which they encourage themselves and talk positively about themselves, be their best friends. And I think that will help build confidence. Definitely with interview is just having that self awareness, understanding yourself, what you stand for, what you want to work for, and how you're going to give back to that pageant system is going to be important. And being able to communicate that well, because I think that people struggle with that during interview, is not being able to really get that message across to the judges. And as far as skills that you learn when you compete, for me, again, I've definitely honed in on interview skills, and that's a skill that can really help you in job interviews and just working with people in the community that you work for. And I
Can I
think
ask you a
that
question about
others,
that before you
yeah.
answer the second question? Um,
Hmm.
so just keep that second question in your mind. I know you've got it. Do you think that's the defining thing that really is the thing that makes the biggest difference in a pageantry is really uh, crushing that interview and answering the questions that is not what the judges need to hear, but being truthful and just being yourself in the interview.
Yes, at least for the Belleza Latina and Galaxy pageants, the interview is weighed more than other parts of the competition. So you definitely need to crush that interview in order to do well. From what happened to me is I didn't win the interview, but I did well enough to where it was still a good overall score. So I think, yeah, interview, if you win interview, you have a very good chance. So honing in those skills is key.
Well, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I really hope that our listeners, and I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I hope our listeners really enjoyed learning more about the Latino pageant. And I am so thankful for your service, and I I I, I am so thankful for your time. It was very interesting. Um, there's so many things that are going on in society, and learning all how all of this is going to like fall out, because literally three months ago we weren't in this situation. Things were a l- I wouldn't say they were going perfect, but they were definitely not heading in this direction. So
Yeah.
um I mean, um it's crazy. Three weeks, 3 months ago, you were heading to Florida. Now, what was the original date for the competition? Was it in June?
It was going to be in
It
July,
was in
but
July. Okay, so
yeah,
so this is like totally uncharted territory.
yeah, it really is. Hmm.
So, well, I thank you so much for your service, first of all, and thank you for taking on another year, because uh, and it's definitely it's like you're defending that brand, and you definitely did an incredible job. So um, hopefully next time this year we'll definitely have you come on. You can talk about your upcoming competition. So it would be really exciting for you to really talk about your experiences and your upcoming competition.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Oh, thank you, B. Beatrice, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you. One, volunteering and being in the armed forces and defending our freedoms. Thank you so much. Two, thank you for really trying to help people that are in crises when you're not in the military, and really trying to make people feel better and hopefully cause them to be in a better spot. Um, so you're definitely doing God's work inside and outside, and I can't ask for a better person representing the Latino community and representing this pageant, and that's why you won, clearly. So kudos to you, and thank you for coming on the show. And I really hope that everyone learned a lot about what you need to do to really win this pageant and why you have this title. I want to remind all of our listeners that the Total Focus podcast drops every Thursday afternoon. We really appreciate all of the positive, even negative comments, positive thumbs up, negative or thumbs down. I personally feel that any feedback is great. So your feedback is what makes the show better. So please just comment, tell us what we need to do more better, and tell us what we are not doing right, and we will make the show better for you. Please, if you could, give us a thumbs up, and please subscribe to both our YouTube channel and our iTunes channel. And we are right now sitting at about 50-50. We have 50% of our listeners that are unsubscribed. So I would really appreciate you guys please hitting the sub button and pushing all notifications and being part of the group, and really being a part of this community. And I hope you guys will consider that. I can't be remiss to not mention my great co-host for my movie review show called The Movie Breakdown with Evine Carlos. So if you love movies, all you have to do is subscribe to the Total Focus feed, and you'll get our movie breakdown show as well. It's like an added bonus as a chocolate on the top. So if you like movies and you're also into pageantry or photography or modeling, then just stay tuned, and we're going to gab and just talk about random stuff about all these cool upcoming movies. We just did a review for Bad Boys for Life. I'm really excited for you guys to hear it. And please tell your friends about it. We're trying to grow that as well. And as always, please stay tuned.